My name's Lee Matthews and I'm a physiotherapist, and this is Pilates, Rehab, Relax. I'm going to guide you through a really gentle session of Pilates matwork exercises. This is all very low intensity. It's a really good starting point for anyone that's uncertain. If you wanted to find more about the principles that underpin Pilates, then if you click on the link above, it will take you to a short video that describes some of those. If you're happy to just jump in and have a go, then join in if that's okay. And before we go any further, don't forget to click like and subscribe for all of our latest content. So I'm going to use a mat. You could use a rug or a nice beach towel or something. If you're not safe getting on off of the floor, then just stick to doing these on your bed, okay? But if you do them on the bed, maybe pull the duvet away so you've got a firmer surface to work from. Okay, so I'll bring myself onto the floor. And the first position we're going to be in is laying on our back. So I want my feet flat on the floor, knees bent. I've got a very small gap between my knees and my ankles there, and my arms resting beside me. And with all of the Pilates things, I'm looking for that nice lengthening of the spine there. So a nice long neck, shoulder blades nice and wide, and I've got a little support underneath my neck there. If you find that your chin is pointing up to the ceiling, you need more support under you. But if you're doing okay, you might just cope with a folded towel or a small blanket or something. So the first move we're going to do is a one leg stretch. So I'm going to gently find that nice centered position of my pelvis. So I've got a little bit of a gap there underneath the back. I'm not pushing the small of the back into the mat at all. I'm then going to look to engage my core. So if my belly button is here, I put my hands just either side there, and I'm just looking to tense up that muscle, a bit like you're drawing your belly button in towards the spine. So keeping that muscle engaged. As we breathe out, slide our leg out and away from us, and then back in again. There we go. So I engage the core and I slide that leg out and away from me. So just remain focusing on the movement there. We engage and back in. And slowly, so you can just slide the heel along the mat if you want to. And back in again. I've done 5 on one side, so I'm going to do the 5 on the other. So again, I draw that tummy, so my belly button comes in towards the spine. I'm breathing normally though. And then on an outward breath, bring that heel out and away from me, and then back in again. So again, I'll aim to try and do about 5 on each leg with these. If you want to do 10, you're more than welcome to. But maybe just have a little go to begin with, see how you find it. So with Pilates, we focus on engaging that core muscle, and as we breathe out, we slide that heel away from us, and then back in again. So that was the one leg stretch. We're going to go on to do the double leg stretch, which is actually an arm exercise. It's named that because it was based on Joseph Pilates' original movements and adapted from them. So first of all, nice long spine again, keep yourself centered, engage the core. And this time round I'm going to start with my arms both pointing up towards the ceiling. So what I'm going to do now, as I engage my tummy muscles, as I breathe out, the arms come away from you. The shoulder blades remain on the bed though, and then you make a big circle, like you're drawing around a big beach ball perhaps, and then back to start position. And again, so engage the core, outward breath, and then make that big circle and back in. So each of the hands is almost making like a D shape and the mirror image of a capital D, or I say, it's like you're drawing 2 straight lines and then round a giant big balloon or beach ball and then back to the start again. So the aim with doing the contraction of our tummy muscles is as we move these other things on our arms and legs, you're actually building up the strength and endurance of those things there. That's good. And then back to the start position again. The next exercise we'll do is called the hip twist. And there's two versions of it we're going to do today. Level 1 is a control exercise. It's about getting control around this area. So my knees have got a small gap there. And I want you to imagine that you've got a glass of your favourite drink balanced on one of your knees. We engage our tummy muscles, and again, we're going to remain nice and still here. And then what I'm going to do is, as I keep this muscle tensed, slowly bring that knee out to the side. So let that knee drop out to the side, and then back in again. So let's do 5 on one leg. The slower you do it, the harder it is. No, I'm not sure what my drink is that's balancing on that knee, but I think it might have wobbled a tiny bit there. But again, that's where you try your hardest to contract this muscle here and keep that muscle working. Right, so when you've done 5 on one leg, we're going to swap over and do the same on the other side. So again, make sure you're in that nice centered position. You've got that long spine. Engage the tummy muscles and keep them zipped up. And this time I'm going to keep this one still. So the one that's closest to you is going to remain still with that glass on it. And then I bring that other knee out to the side slightly. And this isn't about how far you can go, because I could probably go further than that, but it's about maintaining that control, and that's a lot harder than it looks. So at this point, I might ask the people that I'm teaching it to what their favourite drink is balanced on their knee. So you'll have to post it in the comment section perhaps. Yeah, that's 3. Maths was never my strong point. So, I mean, I'm aiming to do somewhere about 5 to 10 of them. Again, you start gentle though and work at your own pace. And if with any of these things you want to stop and just wait till we begin the next move, then you're welcome to. So that was the hip twist level 1. And now what we're going to move on to is the hip twist level 2. So I'm going to bring my knees and my ankles in together now. I'm going to give myself a little bit more room. So I've moved my hands out to the side a bit further because we'll need that space in a moment. And what I'm going to do, I engage my tummy muscles. There we go, zipped up. And on an outward breath, I'm going to bring my knees to rotate towards you guys. So as I go over, there we go, keep that muscle engaged with your tummy, keep those muscles tense in here, and those shoulders stay on the mat or on the bed as your knees drop over to the side. So your bottom cheek on the opposite side will hopefully have come up off of the bed or floor a little bit. And then keep those muscles engaged and bring yourself back in again. And let's do the same to the other side now, shall we? So again, zip up those muscles. And over we go. And back to the middle. I got a creak then as well. I don't mind pops and creaks. And I don't mind a little bit of a twinge with these things, as long as it's only a temporary discomfort. If you find that you're really sore half an hour after you've done these, then you're just pushing too hard with them. So always start gentle, work at your own individual levels, and it's not about how it looks, it's how it feels. That's good. Now, it's at times like this that you might question the wisdom of lighting candles near your exercise mats. So if you feel if you feel any increased levels of warmth in your knees or your ankles and you're teaching Pilates at a time like this, that's when you know you need to worry. It's good. So I'm going to do one more to each side. There we go. That's one. And then again, back to the other side again. There we go. That's great. So that was the hip twist level 2. What we're now going to move on to is an exercise called the shoulder bridge. So I'm going to bring my knees and ankles just back to their start position again. There's a little gap between them. I've got myself with a small gap in the base of my back there, so I found myself that nice centered position again, and I'm going to engage my tummy muscle. So with a hip twist, what we're going to start to do is scoop that tummy button in towards the spine and peel your tailbone up off of the mat. So at a very gentle level, all that involves is what we call a gentle pelvic tilt. So from the pelvis, as I peel the tailbone up off of the mat, the small of my back pushes into the bed and the pelvis tilts towards me. Sometimes it's described a bit like if you had a Malteser resting on your tummy button that you were trying to roll towards your mouth. So that's one way of doing it. You could think about the links of a bicycle chain, that if you peel your tailbone off one link at a time, of like a bicycle chain coming up. So if we do a true sort of shoulder bridge, we go a bit further than that. So again, I peel my tailbone up off of the mat, and a bit like a Mexican wave, I keep on going until my bottom's clear of the mat completely there. So this is a really good glutes exercise, and it's also going to stretch the muscles on the front of your hip slightly as well. If you find that you're really tight there and irritable, don't go too far with this one. It can be a little bit provocative of back pain if you've got quite tight muscles on the front of the hip there. And back down again. So again, when you've done, your 5, then stop and wait for the next move. But I think, again, if you're looking for full shoulder bridge, this is the position that we'd be looking to achieve eventually. But you work with what's available to you to begin with and build on it slowly, yeah? That's good. Right, the next move we're going to do is called scissors. And the reason is because our legs move back and forwards like a pair of scissors opening and closing. There's lots of progressions to this one, but we'll start at the most basic level. So again, nice neutral position, engage those tummy muscles, and what I'm now going to do is lift up my leg so that the shin bone is on the horizontal, a bit like it's resting on a coffee table, and then back down again, and then the same on the other side there. So I keep that muscle engaged, and you can either let one leg come down and then back up again. And as you get more skilled at it, it actually becomes quite challenging with this one. But at its most basic level, we engage that muscle, and it's almost like you've got your leg resting on a coffee table there. But we keep that muscle nice and tense as we come up. And again, aiming for roughly 5 on each leg, I think. I'm just going to do one more on each side. That's good. And then relax. So building upon that, we can do a movement called the one leg circle. So I'm going to bring my leg that's closest to you up to the ceiling, very similar position. Imagine you've got a paintbrush on your knee. So what we're going to try and do is draw some very small circles. And perhaps if we do it in a clockwise direction, first of all, so my knee and my hip are just making some small circles there. And the whole time we do that, we're keeping that muscle engaged in our tummy there. So we'll aim to do about 5 of those circles, I think, and then back down again. And then let's go back up again. So I went clockwise before, so let me go anti-clockwise this time. I think whichever direction you go with your circles, just try and remember so that when you repeat it, you can go in the opposite direction. That's good. And let's do the same on the other side. So again, I engage the core. I keep that muscle engaged the whole way through this. And again, perhaps if I start off in a clockwise direction. I think it always surprises me just how much work is involved in doing what amount to pretty small and insignificant movements. But there's actually quite a significant amount of concentration that goes into doing Pilates. So, I mean, by all means have some music playing, but I actually find sometimes it just takes all of that just to stay focused on what you're doing. I certainly struggle to count to 5, there's no doubt of that. That's good. And back down again. Well done. Right, well, we're going to finish off in this position by doing a technique called hundreds. So again, just be a bit careful if you've got anything like a bad neck. You know, this is one that ideally we lift the head and the shoulders off of the bed. You might just begin by just doing the shoulders on their own though. So imagine you've got like a tennis ball or an orange or an apple between your chin and your chest. So I don't want you to hitch your chin up to your chest. We're going to lift up, but keep this gap here, yeah? If you're comfortable to do so, what we're going to try and do, engage the core. We're going to try and lift up the shoulder blades and the head, and we're going to do some rapid pulses down to the side of us. So if you imagine that you're splashing your hands in 2 puddles either side of your hips. And it's called hundreds because we're supposed to do 4 sets of 25 here. And back down again. Well, if I struggle to talk and count to 5 without getting distracted, you can guarantee I'm not going to count to 25. So we're going to approximate towards that. And back down again. And what hundreds is very good for is working on this abdominal endurance. So this is much better than doing sit-ups or crunches. And back down again. So if you had a bad neck, you might just go with the shoulders and not do the head lift there. So again, work to your strengths, have a go, find what's useful for you, yeah. We're going to move on to doing some stuff on our side. So that was the last one, laying on our back. So if we roll over onto our side, so again, this is going to be a technique called the Clam. I'm going to have my arm out underneath me. Again, you do what's comfortable for you. You might use some pillows. I want my ankles, my hip and my shoulder to be in a nice straight line with this one. And what I'm going to do, have my hand resting in front of me, but I'm not pushing firmly there, yeah? So what we do for the Clam, if you imagine like a clamshell, the way it opens and closes, I engage my tummy muscles here. And this time, my drink of water or whatever your drink is going to be resting on your belt line roughly, yeah? So I engage that muscle throughout, and the leg comes up and down. Again, I could probably go further, but what would happen is my pelvis would start to drop back again. So I don't want to spill this drink that's resting on my belt line. So this is a really good exercise for working these glutes around here. So I'll just do one more. That's good. And that's my 5. So now what I'm going to do is a technique called the side kick. So I'm going to bring my leg up in front of me a little bit more. So it's more of a 90-degree angle now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up the uppermost leg so it's in a nice horizontal plane. And I want you to maintain that throughout the whole exercise. I engage my core, and what I'm going to do is bring my leg behind me and then back in front of me. So that's 1, That's 2. That's 3. So we're working our glutes with this exercise as well. By having the knees bent, it shortens the lever length, but as we progress into higher versions of this, you actually straighten the leg a bit more, and you'll see that in some of my other videos. There you go. That's good. That's good. So that was a side kick. We're going to do one last technique laying on our side, and this one's going to be for the arm. So it's an arm opening. And again, you might want some support under your neck with this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my arms out in front of me. There we go. And engage the core. Keep those muscles tensed up. And this is a bit like the hip twist level 2, but for the upper body this time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring my hand up to the ceiling. And if you're comfortable with that, you can then drop behind me. And the whole way round, I follow my nose with the line of my hand there, and then back again. To do that again, I'll break it down again. So engage our tummy muscles, and the hand comes up to the ceiling, and then at that point we drop back and the chest can open up a bit more as well. And the whole way through that movement we keep this muscle engaged there. Now that was about 3, I think, or 2. The third one I'll do the easier version. So if you were comfortable with that, keep on going. But if you didn't like it, the easier way we can do this, imagine an archer pulling back a bow and arrow. So the arm laying on the floor is holding that bow of the bow and arrow, and the hand that's uppermost is going to pull back that bowstring. And then relax again. And again. So we contract our tummy muscles, we keep that core engaged, and we breathe out as you do it. And I'm going to just do one more on this side. So whether you pick the easier version or the harder version, work to what's comfortable for you. We'll roll over and do the same on the other side. So I'll flip to the other end. You might just want to roll onto your back with it. I want you to be able to see what's going on. That's good. Right, so again, let's get ourselves in a good position and we can do the clam. So my ankles and hips all in a nice straight line there. I engage my muscles there, and here we go. And down again. So 5 of those to begin with. That's 1. 3. 1 more. That's good. Right, so moving on to the side kick, level 1. Bring my knees up in front of me. I've got that 90-degree angle there. I engage my core, and I'm going to lift that leg up. And then again, keeping that muscle tensed up, I'll bring my leg out behind me. And then back in again. And if you're going to be really true to the form with Pilates, you do that on an outward breath. I think focus on the movement above all else, and I think all those other things kind of fall into place, even if there's uncertainty there. Right, we've done the side kick, so let's do some arm opening on this side. Again, I'll try not to burn my arm on a candle behind me. So here we go. I engage my tummy muscles, and I bring my arm up to the ceiling, and then down behind me. And behind me. So that's the slightly harder form of it. And if you want to do the easier form, it's that archer's bow again. So this time, again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the uppermost arm back and behind me, banging into the flowers. And again. And the whole way through this, I keep this muscle tensed up. One more. That's good. Right, we're going to finish off by doing a couple of things on our front. So I'm going to bring myself into what I call a cat stretch. So let me move my cushion out of the way for this one. There you go. Let's move my sound out of the way there. There you go. Right, so find yourself into all fours there. If you're uncomfortable with your shoulders, you can bring your weight back more onto the hips, yeah. But if you're comfortable to do so, bring yourself onto all fours. Imagine you've got a tray of drinks balanced on your back there. And what we're going to do for this cat stretch, I'm going to curl my tailbone underneath me, and I'm going to bring my nose in towards my tummy button. So we tend to do this on an outward breath, and then as you breathe in, poke your bottom out and look up in front of you, yeah? So again, curling up, and then looking up and in front of you, and again. And this is a really lovely stretch for the whole of the spine, but we're also working some of the muscles along the abdominals and along the back. That's good. Right, the next one we're going to do is called swimming. And I think the way I'm going to do this, I've got a pillow that I've had off to one side. You could use a couple of cushions, but I want you to lay onto your tummy for me, yeah? So I'm going to pop that pillow. You might have a couple of pillows, but I'm going to put it underneath my hips there, yeah? In this position, you can have your hands resting on with your forehead on top, or you might, find you turn your head slightly, whatever's comfortable for you. But what I want you to do for me now is to engage your core muscles. You might even clench your bottom muscles as well. And what we're going to do, we're going to lift one of our legs up and away from us, and then back down again. And then the same on the opposite side. So getting some really good exercise for our core, really good exercise for our glutes. What I don't want you to do is to be twisting from the back when you're doing this. So my bottom stays nice and still, my back stays nice and still. If when you're going up, you're twisting, you're doing it wrong, yeah, it might be you want a couple of pillows instead of just the one. So again, it's just a good way of building some strength in those muscles on the back and in the bottom area and in the hamstrings. There's loads of progressions to this. There you go. And I think that's your 5 of those. So there you go, guys, and that's it. It was nice and gentle. Hopefully you found it was okay. And maybe come back and try this a few more times, build up the number of repetitions, and if you feel it's okay and you've not been irritated too much by doing them, then there's loads of other workouts that are harder than this. If you didn't like doing them in laying, do one of the ones in standing or seating that I've recorded as well. So thanks for watching, take care, and look forward to seeing you soon.